Now, I never tell people to sell stuff, and I get asked, oh, should I sell this to buy this? And I never answer those questions. So this video is meant not really tongue-in-cheek, but meant as a hypothetical premise. So I'm not telling people with Leica cameras to sell their Leicas, okay? I don't tell people to sell their gear because that creates bad problems. So take this as a premise. Say, like, theoretically you're thinking about buying a Leica, or say, you know, you've got a Leica and you want to buy another Leica camera, right? That's what we're talking about here. Let's start off with the premise that, of course, there is a Leica look, and that's based on the lenses. There's also another reason, and you won't find this, there's a couple mentions of it, for why there's a Leica look. And that has to do with a weak CFA over top of the sensor, or the color filter array. Since a lot of Leica users are owners, are black and white shooters, the color filter array is weak. In other words, the filters, the RGB over top of the Leica sensors is weak, and what that does is it lets in more light, more intertonal detail, and that's wonderful. That's all well and fine. Leicas are insanely slow, they're insanely expensive. Even a cheap used one averages about $6,000. I got a premise for you, and I'm not telling anybody to sell their Leica, for Christ's sakes. Let me ask you, as a Leica owner or potential owner or a person that owns a Leica that's thinking about buying a second Leica camera, excuse me, sorry about that. Wouldn't you rather, since a lot of Leica people are image snobs, and I'm an image snob as well, wouldn't it be like, instead of buying that used Leica small sensor, camera with $6,000, what if instead I were to buy, since, you and I both care about ultimate image output, and you see a 300 megabyte full-blown TIFF file from a GFX, it's crotch melting. This is not that much bigger than a Leica camera, and it's actually really lightweight. It's actually more lightweight than quite a few Leica cameras. $4,500 new. I want you to give me an argument about why I'm incorrect. Now, you can only do that if you can legitimately say, I have seen those 300 megabyte TIFF files from a full-blown GFX. You can only tell me that unless you've seen that, okay? And they're all over the internet. I've uploaded quite a few all over the place, and many. Tell me why you would consider that. Let's just say you bought one lens only. And it is the case that most, really serious photographers say, well, if you just only have one lens glued to your camera for the rest of your life, what would it be? It would be a 35 millimeter equivalent lens, which this is. A 45 millimeter is equal to a 35 millimeter. You multiply it times 0.78, and 45 is a 35 millimeter f2. This lens right here. The images from this camera are crotch melting perfection. They're just jaw dropping. They just make you cry. You'll have to yank your underwear off and sob and blow your nose into your underwear from crying looking at the images from this camera. Instead of, and like I said, I'm not telling people to sell their Leica, okay? I don't tell anybody to sell anything. But, just as a premise, why would you want to do that? So, well, I like Leica. I got a lot of Leica. I've got a few Leica lenses, too, Leica M-mount lenses. You know what? With a cheap-ass adapter, I use them on this camera right here. My favorite being the 50 millimeter 1.2 Voigtlander Leica M-mount, which I use with a Rayquil adapter. And I've also got a cheap K&F adapter. There's a Leica M to Fuji GFX adapter. Yeah. Yeah. So those Leica lenses will actually work on it. And, they focus just as smoothly. And you got focus peaking, which is actually more accurate than any Leica camera you own. The focus peaking is sensor level. Yeah, don't have that on any Leica camera. Have you thought about that? Have you seen like a full-blown TIFF? Even on the Google Drive that I have the untouched RAWs on, you could only zoom in 400%. If you actually download them and pull them up in like Capture One or Lightroom, and you could blow them up 600%. Oh my God! Name me one Leica camera you have or that you're thinking about getting that will match the output of this camera. because you can't. Now, there'll be a lot of Leica people that are going to downvote this video, and I don't give a single hoot in hell about that, because I'm correct. Now, you can love Leica all you want, and I appreciate Leica lenses. However, that camera company, Leica, of course, it recently went up for sale a year and a half ago, and Zeiss would have bought it, but the one guy, I forget what his name is, he wanted 51% controlling interest in the camera company. And so that's the reason why Zeiss did. But Leica's not going to last that much longer. They're not. They can't get away with selling those overpriced beasts. And I know they're well made. Actually, their lenses have some serious issues. Their apertures are kind of famous. I mean, you pay $13,000 for a lens, you don't expect the aperture to fold on itself like a cheap card table. You know, the fact that you hear a lot of reports out of that from Leica lenses, and you never hear anything like that out of a cheap, relatively cheap Voigtlander lens, which is made better to higher quality of productions and standards. I don't care if it's made in Deutschland. Jawohl! Don't care. The Voigtlander lenses are made better to higher quality of standards for a lot less money. But that's okay. A lot of Leica people use Voigtlander Leica mount lenses. Okay? You can use all those Leica mount lenses on the GFX camera. My question to you is, having seen the full-blown TIFFs out of a GFX, would you even dare consider, you know, unless you just like, I just like Leica, it's a Leica, you know, just blind brand loyalty. But there are some Leica users, I'm assuming, that like, I want ultimate image output, I don't give a shit who makes it. Why don't you consider renting, you know, a GFX, you know, just pretend to, you want to stick a little, you get a little sticker, you stick a red dot up here, make yourself feel like you own a Leica. It's like, it's a Leica, but it's a lot better. Which is, there's no duh right there. No duh at all, girlfriend. You know, maybe Fujifilm could start selling, I think they actually have them on eBay. They're these little sticky badges. They're made in China that says Leica. And you can stick it on the front of your camera and pretend like you got a Leica. It'll fit right there. Yeah. I rest my case. Wait for it. Fujifilm.